Can I make better Mega Evolutions than Nintendo? I have a list of every Pokemon that received a new Mega Evolution in Pokemon Legends ZA. But here's the trick. Most of them I haven't even seen yet. So I'm going to go through this list and make designs for what I think their Mega Evolution should look like. And then I'll see their real Mega Evolutions for the first time and decide who did better, me or Nintendo. Let's get started. Okay, Skarmory is a perfect Pokemon to get a Mega Evolution. And my favorite part about Skarmory are all the sharp metal edges on its body, especially its bladed wings. So for my Mega Evolution, I decided to go all in on those wings and turn them into giant spinning saw blades, which are magnetically connected to the rest of its body. And I think in a game like Legends ZA, where your Pokemon's constantly out moving during battle, those spinning saw blades would be a great intimidating visual. And here's the real Mega Skarmory. Again, I haven't seen any of these yet. I haven't played the game yet. So they made it solid gold. That was actually an idea I had as well. And they also gave it huge feet. Okay, this is interesting, but it looks like while I focus more on the wings, they focus more on the talons. And I really like the gold texture they went with, but I'm going to give myself the win on this one because I think those spinning saw blades would be a better in-game visual. Barbaracle is weird, but in a good way. And a Mega Evolution definitely leaves a lot of room for creativity. So for my version, I actually made it a water dragon type. Because Barbaracle is 7 different creatures inside of a rock, I feel like it makes sense for the creatures themselves to get an upgrade and ditch the rock. And the main face hand hitting a rock and roll sign to imitate a dragon's maw turned out metal. Okay, I'm very curious to see what they did with Mega Barbaracle. It can go a lot of different ways. Let's see this. It's really tall. I think I hate it. They did the exact same rock and roll face thing, it looks like. It's definitely weird. I promise I'm not going to be a hater in this video. I just really don't like this one, so I'm going to give myself the win again. I have already seen Mega Hawlucha, and I love it. I think it's great. For my version, I actually changed the typing again to a flying fire type, as it's based on a phoenix as well as tag team wrestling. The phoenix is all about rebirth, which in pro wrestling could be equated to a defeated fighter tagging in their teammate. And this version of Hawlucha does the same thing by creating its own clone out of pure flames, which it tags in during intense battle. That all being said, I think the real one's better. Now, I feel like the obvious direction to go with Chandelure is to just make it a more grand chandelier, but I chose to flip this design on its head. No, literally, we flipped it upside down. And I think this increases the creepy, ghostly vibe that the Pokemon has, because not only does it look like a spider, but it's also a reference to the X reset. And here is the real Mega Chandelure. Let's see if they did what I expected them to, and they did exactly what I thought they would. I do like the different color eyes, though, and it definitely looks super clean. I'm gonna call this one a tie. I think mine has a bit more of an interesting idea, but it's also a little over the top. And while the real one is predictable, it's also really well done. Excadrill is another one where I feel like I can predict what they're gonna do. They're probably just gonna make the drill bigger. But for my version, I actually changed it to a ground rock type, which is a downgrade in typing, but it's because I turned its steel drills into diamond drill, a material that's harder than steel and would make for a cool sparkly visual in the game. I'm a very big fan of Excadrill, so I hope this is good. Let's see this. They definitely made the drill bigger, but that's even larger than what I thought by a lot. It looks a little goofy when the drills are separated, but when they're all together like this, that actually looks really cool. Yeah, I'm actually gonna give this one to Nintendo's version. I think it looks sick. Okay, but this next part is the one I'm most excited for, because now we get to work on the starter Pokemon. But before we get into that, I have to tell you about today's video sponsor, Eelektross Awaken, a 2.5D pixel art monster catching RPG based on the hit card game made by a Pokatuber, led by a Pokatuber creative director, and told to you by a Pokatuber with a much more annoying voice. Armed with one of 8 elemental spirits and take off across an ancient Greek mythology-inspired world full of over 100 unique Eelektross to capture and collect. You can then ascend or nexus these Eelektross to unlock more powerful forms, which you're gonna need because this game has you facing off against the divines like Zeus and Poseidon. Yes, you battle Zeus in this game, but that is not all. Thanks to hitting Kickstarter goals, Eelektross now has awesome new modes like randomizers, Nuzlocks, and even more. It's seriously going to be a creature capture fan's dream. So if you want to back Eelektross Awakened on Kickstarter and get access to a Switch or Steam key for the game, then you have to act fast because it ends November 7th. So make sure to use the link in my description or pinned comment to go check out the Eelektross Awakened Kickstarter and become a backer before it's too late. Now let's work on the starter Pokemon, starting with Meganium. I went with a Grass Fairy type that's absolutely covered in flying flowers because I feel like Meganium should be a defensive Pokemon, and I figured this was a very pretty way to make it look more bulky. Meganium is a Pokemon that really needs a good upgrade, so I'm hoping this is good. Let's see this. That is pretty much exactly what I did. It's more flowers. It's also grass fairy type. And it also looks more bulky. This is pretty much exactly what I wanted. I think these are too similar to pick a winner, so I'm going to call it another tie. I always thought it was lame that Emboar was fire fighting type, especially because it was the third in a row. So for my Mega Evolution, I sunk it down to 4 legs, gave it huge tusks inspired by Beast Ganondorf from Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, and made it the fire dark type that it was always meant to be. Please be good, please be good, please be good. Yeah! Is that a fire lance? That is tough. The 2 flames on its body look like a demon face. It is still fire fighting type, but this is really good. Definitely giving this one to Nintendo. This is my favorite so far. Fun fact, Feraligatr is actually my favorite starter Pokemon of all time. I always thought its Mega Evolution should be more like a real crocodile, so I sunk it down to 4 legs again. Gave it these raised battle scars and these huge spines down its back. And of course, I also had to make it water dragon type. I am like equal parts excited and scared for this one. Let's see what they did. What am I looking at here? So it's got a huge flap on its back that it turns into like a Totodile face. I actually think I like the general idea, but the flap always being protruding off its back like that looks really bad. I see what they were going for, but as a Feraligatr fan, I'm honestly kind of disappointed, so I'm going to give myself the win on this one. Now, I have heard that Starmie's Mega Evolution is a little controversial. For my version, I actually went with a more alien design. If you don't know, there's a theory that Starmie is a Pokemon that comes from space. So I decided to be cool to make a version of Starmie that could look like its distant ancestor, which traveled across the cosmos and invaded Earth and eventually turned into the Starmie we know today. So Starmie actually used to be one of my favorite Pokemon of all time back when I played the original game, so I'm excited to see what they did for its Mega Evolution. That is really, really weird. Its movements have become more human-like, whether it's simply trying to communicate or wants to supplant humanity is unclear. So they also made more of an alien theme, but that was by giving it legs? I just really don't get this one. This is stressing me out. I can appreciate a funny design, and I think this is going to be one that grows on me over time, but for now, I'm going to give myself the win. But now let's do Eelektross, the Pokemon with no weaknesses. For my Mega Evolution, I went with a bit of a weird design, not as weird as what we just looked at, but I actually decided to base it off a pelican eel, which is a super freaky looking deep sea creature with a huge mouth. And I like to imagine that Mega Eelektross would trap enemies within its huge mouth and inject them with electricity using its 4 fangs. Here is the real Mega Eelektross. Let's see what this looks like. So it looks like it has an airplane theme because it now has these 2 jets and like these window-looking circles down its body. If it shoots projectiles out of its 2 arms, then that's actually a really cool thing. I think these 2 are very different, but they're about the same in terms of how much I like them, so I'm going to call this one a tie. I was super pumped to hear that Scolipede has a Mega Evolution because it's easily one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. For my version, I gave it more legs, which seemed like a natural way to upgrade a centipede Pokemon, but I also gave it this white mask as a reference to plague doctors and these vents on its body, which would constantly spew out poisonous gas. Please be good, please be good, please be good. Yes! Yes! Oh, wow! This is really, really good. The armor and the horns look absolutely awesome. I'm definitely giving this one to Nintendo. I have already seen Mega Malamar, and honestly, I don't like it too much. And for my version, I decided to flip it again. You know how Inkay starts off like this, and then you flip it upside down to evolve, and that's why Malamar looks like this? Well, by flipping it again, I was able to turn its squid body into a huge brain, which goes along with the whole evil genius theme. And I do see a lot of people who actually like Mega Malamar, but I'm gonna give myself the win on this one. Victreebel is another one that I've already seen, and I actually like it. I think it's super goofy, but in a charming way. And for my version, I went with the Mega Evolution that most fans expected, so it's this giant plant monster that's constantly spewing venom from its large open mouth. And while I think mine looks cooler, the real one looks like it could be a best friend, so I'm gonna give Nintendo this one. It's weird to me that Pyroar only has 1 Mega Evolution because the 2 gender forms are so different. I struggled with how to combine them into 1 Mega Evolution until I landed on this fire cosmic type inspired by the Leo constellation. And I managed to fit both gender versions into the design by giving it more of a bulky mane, but then having longer strands of hair trailing off of it, just like how fire would trail off a meteor when crashing to Earth. Okay, but now let's see how Nintendo combined these 2 designs. Okay, that is interesting. I'm assuming that this symbol represents fire or something, so that's pretty cool, actually. But honestly, it just kind of looks awkward. It might be cheating because I used a fan-made type for my design, but I'm still gonna give myself the win on this one because I really don't like the real one. I think Dragalge is super underrated. I'm absolutely stoked that it got a Mega Evolution. I went with this longer and super thin design to look more like a worm dragon with visible green poison glowing in its body. And I think this would definitely up the scary factor of the Pokemon, because if you were in really deep, dark water, all you would see is the faint green glow of its poison, and that would be terrifying. And now let's look at what the real one looks like. This is another one I'm hoping's good. Let's see this. It's got really long hair, and that is honestly very good. I think this one feels the most like a classic Mega Evolution. It's just a slight upgrade, but it looks super clean. I'm gonna call this one a tie. I think both versions are really cool. Falinks, I am so glad that this got a new form. There's so many different ways to do this, but I decided on combining them all into a Trojan horse, which in mythology was filled with soldiers, so I think it's a cool theme for this version to be made out of soldiers. I really have no idea what they're gonna do with this one. I just hope it's not lame. That would really suck. Anything creative would be really cool, and that is sick. Even like the power-up sequence where all the arms came together, that was really cool. But I am still gonna give myself the win on this one. I think they're both really good, but I like my version a tad bit more. Froslass is a good pick for this game because I always thought it was weird that Glalie had a Mega Evolution and Froslass didn't. For my version, I leaned more into Froslass's Yuki Onna inspiration by making it have a built-in long white kimono, just like the vengeful spirit is often depicted in. But I also added a built-in ornate headpiece as a reference to Japanese empresses. It'd be really funny if they made its head just get much bigger like Mega Glalie. After seeing that Starmie, I honestly wouldn't be that surprised. But here it is, and that is pretty much exactly the same thing I did. Yeah, it looks like they also leaned into its inspiration, but they gave it horns instead of a headpiece. I think this one's a clear tie. They're really similar. Drampa is a weird one because I'm not sure whether to make it older or younger when it transforms. I ended up going with older by making its hair even longer and giving it bushy eyebrows. And it's also inspired by the dragon from the Neverending Story that used to haunt my dreams. But now let's see if they made it older or younger. I'm really curious. Let's see what they did. That is definitely younger. The gray is gone, and it looks awesome. I did not think they would go this hard with Mega Drampa, but I'm glad they did. I think they blew me out of the water on this one. Dragonite is one I've already seen before, and when it first got revealed, it was pretty controversial, but I love it. For my version, I always thought that Dragonite should look more like Dragonair, so I just leaned super heavy into that. And while I do think my version is cooler, the real one is just so charming, so I think it wins. Okay, this is a little weird, but I kind of already made a Mega Scrafty. In a recent episode of the Custom Pokémon series, we actually got an electric water type convergent evolution of Scrafty, which also had a Mega Evolution. And I think it'd be weird to make another, so here's my version, and I'm gonna go ahead and say I won because I looked at the real Mega Scrafty, and I think it's a little underwhelming. Okay, before I show off Mega Zygarde, we have to do the Kalos starters. I have seen all three of them already, so we'll do it really quick. For Greninja, since the real Mega Evolution focuses so much on the Shuriken, I thought it'd be fun to give it a different weapon. So I gave it a bunch of water throwing knives, and I even gave it a built-in stealthy ninja mask by wrapping its tongue around its face. For Delphox, I turned its small wand into a huge staff, while also making its robes look like they're made of flame. And for Chestnut, I made it even more heavily armored while also giving it this giant spiky ball and chain, which is built into its body. I'm gonna go ahead and say my version of Chestnut is better, but I really like the real Greninja and Delphox, so I think they win. And now it is finally time for Zygarde. I feel like the only way to do this is to combine Zygarde's 100% form with its other major percent forms. So I gave it a Serpentine Sword based on Zygarde's 50% form, and giant dog legs based on its 10% form. And I ended up with this absolutely crazy Centaur Warrior. I have absolutely no idea what to expect from this thing. This is also a pretty big spoiler because I haven't played the game yet, but I guess I'm just gonna deal with it. It looks insane. What? It's like a giant hammer blimp. I'm sure that has something to do with the story. I guess I'll find out eventually. But honestly, I still prefer mine, so I'm gonna give myself the win on this one. YouTube thinks that you'll like this video of some other fan-made Pokemon I've made, so if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to go check that out. And let me know in the comments what you thought of these Mega Evolutions. I'm curious to see if y'all think I won or Nintendo did.